Pokemon! Hey, John! Hey, Adolphus! Hey, Xiao Pedro! How do I pronounce that? Joao Pedro? I think it's Joao Pedro, if I remember my Spanish. Good to see you! New stream! Man, it felt like we just did the other stream. It's almost like it was like 5 minutes ago. Alright, let's get it out right now. 1, 2, 3. Ethernet! Oh god, I hate it. I hate it so much. Why does that happen? I don't know. It happens randomly, and it seems to always pick when I stream, but then there's times when it doesn't, and I'm just like, okay, then I guess it's not because of the streaming. Okay, let me just quickly put this in my community page for you guys, in case there's anyone else who's just subscribing to the channel. Ethernet crapped out again. New stream. Alright. I was thinking, you know what? I think I got most of the stuff I wanted, so maybe I should end here. But then I thought, you know what? I was just having fun, hanging out and chilling with you guys while we went through this whole, whoopsie. Through this whole ordeal. So, of finding screens. So, let's try to get this, where's my screenshot? There we go, screenshot tab. Let's close this. Let's open this to make sure that cheat engine's all right. Yep, okay. There we go. Okay, so, Xavier, you asked me this question, and I was answering it when I saw that the stream crapped out. So, okay, since your guess for the time of the announcement was wrong, what's your guess for the trailer? I still think March. I still think March. For those that don't know, I've just been saying, like, casually, I don't think I've said it, like, out public or anything, but just, like, you know, casually on Discord or among people in private or whatever. I've just been saying, like, I get the hunch, actually, maybe I did say it on Discord in, like, general chat once, but I've just been saying that I have a hunch that the news for Elden Ring is going to come out in March. Like, I just felt like that's the month. I don't know why. The day before today, February 28th, the teaser image comes out. With Mikola on torrent and obviously in Mikola's dream or whatever. It's like, huh? Did they like plant me with a bug? Did they know? It's like they literally waited just the day before. I find that extra karmic, but maybe that's just me. But okay, so the trailer, I still think it's March because I think we're already close enough. The fact they're doing this at the end of the month tells me they're probably starting to think of ramping it up. I don't think they're gonna go like 3 months with just this teaser image. I think if they're feeling now's the time to tease something after, again, this is like a few days after they've announced, or maybe the day after they've announced like 20 million buyers or whatever. I think they're thinking that this is about the time they're going to ramp up the promotion and stuff. So I think trailer's going to come in like a few weeks. At most. Might even be days, who knows. They may just give it like 3 days, let people ruminate on the teaser image they show, and then they drop a trailer. But it could be like next Tuesday or something. Let's see. I feel like the DLC is going to take a while to come out. I feel like it's already taken a while, because I have to imagine the DLC, because I can't imagine the game wasn't greenlit for DLC before launch. They had to have known how big the game was and how they were going to promote it at this point. So I think, John, that it's probably not going to be that far off. I think it's going to come out in a few months at most. And, okay, Andy. So I was looking at the book. It's $195. I assume you mean USD. And was looking at the other books on the page. So there is a Way of White You Died book. Is You Died your book too? No. Abyssal Archive is the only book I've published. Well, it's the only book I've published with that publisher that you're looking at. So Abyssal Archive is the only book that I can personally validate as my writing. It's my quality. I own it. I've done everything with it. For whatever faults or, you know, I don't know. Blessings, benefits there are to it. Do we have a voice chat in the Discord? I'm gonna run the risk of actually engaging in verbal talk one of these days. Loki's bugged by the thought of a bug. That's very true. Really? I have more hope now, yeah. I don't think it's something like, hey guys, we're starting production on the DLC now. Here's the concept art teaser image. I think that concept art was probably made possibly around the time of launch, maybe if not before launch, definitely like maybe within a few months after launch, and that this is like something they've been sitting on while they work on, you know, the actual game. Because again, you have to understand, these DLCs, when they're greenlit before release, usually the developers already at least have like a rough outline of what they're gonna do, right? And we know that from like cut content and stuff. Like so much Mikola and Trina stuff got cut. It's almost guaranteed that Miyazaki understood that whatever content that they were gonna include there, at least some of those concepts and ideas were gonna be something they were gonna save for DLC. Yeah, digital is cheap, thank goodness. I can take it everywhere. But yeah, Abyssal Archive is a really big book, Andy. Like, it's 2 volumes, and these are, like, over 200 pages. Like, it's big, it's thick, it covered... Again, if you see my website stuff, imagine, all my website content compiled into a single 2-volume set for just Dark Souls 1. That is basically, You know what? This stupid music is getting in the way of the chat, so... Time for us to get in. Yeah, so, what was that? Yeah, okay, so the 2 volumes, that's, like, super, that stuff is, like, super high quality, but it is a bit pricey. It's a collector's item for sure. So, digital is the version for all the plebs that just they want to read the content, but they either are unable or unwilling to purchase it. I completely understand. I know it's a lot of money. The digital is cheap, thank goodness. I can take it everywhere with me. I'm very happy to hear that, Adolphus. Yeah, I seen the digital. I'll get it on the first. I just think the book looks so cool, LOL. Yeah, the book looks really, really, really great. I'm gonna just tell you, everything this publisher puts out looks amazing. Like, I want all of it on my shelf. I really, really am happy with the quality they put into their books. Like, have you seen the new stuff they're doing with Bloodborne? What's it called? Blood Echoes? Oh, God, that book looks so good. Like, the moment I saw the announcement... image, I was like, oh my god, it's absolute perfection. Like, you would think that these publishers were doing official stuff by, like, it would be sanctioned by Namco Bandai. Like, the quality is that good. I don't understand why Namco Bandai or Sony or whoever doesn't reach out to these, to Toon and Fairweather and, like, ask them to, like, help, kind of, like, do a cooperation or whatever on the publishing deal, because, like, god, just imagine... Like, just imagine what they're missing out on. I'm just saying. If they helped with promotion for a cut-in or whatever, I think they would benefit a lot, because again, I've worked with this publisher, I've talked with them, I've argued and gone to discussions and everything with them when it comes to what I want and what I want to get in and what we can work in, right? And I've had to push and push and push and push, but they are so accommodating, they're so willing to work. Like, it never feels like I'm being stonewalled and I'm not getting what I want because they're just assholes or something like that, right? Like, truly, these guys, they really love what they do. They love the books they put out. They love the content of the books that they're working on, and they try to give you the best possible product, affordable. So, again, just, I can't stop gushing about all the people at Toon and Fairweather. Just so great. I know we just got DLC confirmation, but do you think we'll have more than one for ER? That I don't know about, because, okay, so let's assume we're all right. It's not America, it's Mikola. It's Mikola's dream, you know, everything that everyone's been predicting since literally the game came out and people started finishing it. Within, like, the first month or whatever. The obvious idea is that you're gonna do a Mikola DLC, maybe have a Mikola ending, added. Add a bunch of new weapons and stuff for characters, but it's mostly going to focus on, like, the main plot of the DLC is going to focus on Mikola's lore. You're probably adding at least one open world area, right? So it's going to be one, like, entire region, like Liurnia or Limgrave or some shit. It's probably going to be a decent size, too, at least as big as the other regions of Lands Between, right? And then you're going to at least add one legacy dungeon, and who knows how many, like, minor dungeons to go along with it, So, like, all of that has to be done. Has to be filled with, like, enemies. We're probably going to get a lot of reskins and repeats like last time. I can't wait for spectral skeletons in the spectral graveyard fields. But all that's probably happening. And then, few bosses, maybe have some copy-paste or recycled bosses and stuff, but we'll probably get at least the main, like, at least a few of the main story bosses are probably going to be unique and stuff like that, right? And then finally, after all of that, we're going to probably have new stuff for each class's magic and things like that. I don't know if there's room for another DLC. Like, what else in the narrative really needs to be desperately looked at? And I know what people are going to say. They're going to say something like, oh, no, but there's so much mystery over this, or that, like Glow-Eyed Queen, or whatever. I'll be honest, I think most of those topics, there is the information, the evidence, you just need to go through the analysis. Because a lot of people can say the same shit with Dark Souls, or Dark Souls 2, or Bloodborne, or stuff. And I've done the work, and I can tell you, there's not. Those games are complete and fine as they are. They just require you to actually, you know, commit to some conclusions and building your case until you have everything in a complete, consistent, and comprehensible, quote-unquote canon. So I only see Mikola as the huge, like, empty spot, because so much with Mikola and Trina is sort of absent, and Mikola and Trina and Mikola's dream is the best opportunity for any other, like, small little thing that Miyazaki wants to build on or include that couldn't be included in the base game. He can insert, because it's a dream, much like Bloodborne's Old Hunters DLC. He can kind of insert or flesh out a bunch of stuff that he couldn't in the base game for whatever reason, very easily and naturally, that it wouldn't be out of place. So again, I just don't know if there's room for another DLC. I really don't. Because then we also have the problem of, okay, Mikola's dream gives us an excuse to go into an entire other area that doesn't fit in the existing map. How's that going to work with other DLC? Are you going to have another dream? Is that going to be the idea? Do you have it where you go somewhere underground on the existing map that we see? I just don't know. I feel like this is gonna be it, but who knows? We'll have to see when the DLC comes out. There might be like new, like, super big hanging threads that the game adds that requires a sequel DLC, kind of like Ashes of Ariandel into Ring City. But I'm pretty sure we already knew we were getting 2 DLCs from the start with Dark Souls 3. Like, I'm pretty sure that was in the promotion from the beginning. So I may be wrong there. Or at the very least, I think, like, in the game files, it was basically confirmed that we would get 2. Okay. Enough of me ranting. Yeah, I seen Blood Echoes 2. It looks awesome. Yeah, I'm really... Again, I'm not involved in Blood Echoes, but, like, I'm just saying, the publisher... You just know that if you're buying a book from them, you're getting good quality. I completely understand, though, if you can't buy the physical edition for Abyssal Archive, because, again, big book... pricier book than even some of their other stuff they got there. I get you. I totally get it. That's why we have the digital option as well. I'm anticipating a slice of life Elden Ring magazine with Lindell Capital Trends. That's my DLC. Get to see all the casual all the casual clothes that the characters wear on their off time. To be fair, I would like to see what Radigan wore when he was at war, like, you know, actual armor and stuff, instead of you know, like the frickin' casual clothes he wears for the I guess his boss fight, right? Yeah, because I don't think you see him elsewhere other than that. Because he seems to just otherwise dress like Godwin, who I assume Godwin is dressing casually, you know, just baring his chest in the open, ready to get assassinated and cursed. I can't wait for my copy of A to come. Oh, I can't either, John. I'm so excited for everyone to get their copies. Again, for all those who are reading Abyssal Archive, by the way, please submit to me on my Discord, on my Twitter, through my Twitter DMs, or whatever. However you can contact me, do so. Preferably not in this chat, because I don't have anything open to record right now, but tell me of any typos or stuff you find in your digital copy, because if there's any... we're taking, like, any, even, like, possible, like, you're not sure, but you're kind of on the edge, like, just report it to us, because if there's a mistake, we want to correct it before the first edition of the book, the first print of Abyssal Archive, gets sent out to you guys, because once, obviously, the print comes out, we can't really do anything about that, so we're trying to make any, like, typo corrections and stuff, right? I think we're done with, like, any, like, content corrections. There were very few, but there were a few stuff where I was like, ooh, that's, like, a minor mistake, or that's, there's some data that, we could have included that we didn't in the manuscript. That's been all ironed out. We're currently focusing mostly on just, like, unless it's, like, a huge error, like, you, like, notice, like, oh, hey, wait a second, this is, like, absolutely untrue, or something like that. We're focusing mostly on just, like, typos. But anyway, just gotta get that PSA out of the way. Hope the physical edition of Abyssal drops soon. Hey, Chosen Undead. Yeah, currently the plan is to have it during, quarter 3 of this year. But supply chains, you know, it's the economy. Things have been very uncertain and hectic, so we don't know. We're gonna try to make it work. Well, I want to, believe me, I want to announce something to you guys and get it out to you as soon as possible, as much as anyone. Partially because I've worked on this project for so many years, I want to get it behind me. Elden Ring slice of life with Kale and his donkey. Donkey! Yeah. I can't, let's see, America's Beauty Tips. They couldn't do 2 DLCs where one is a sequel to the first one, kind of like what Dark Souls 3 did. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless we get, like, a super hanging one, that's the only way I could see us, like, getting a narrative hook where it's like, okay, we need a second DLC. But if that is the case, there's still a problem of figuring out where are we gonna go? Is it gonna take us to another dream world so we get teleported to a separate, individual, like, biome region? Are they gonna, like, take us underground and, like, because some of the parts of the map underground aren't filled in, so you could theoretically put underground stuff there, maybe? But that's the only thing I can think of. One thing I want more of is the golden lineage. Like, how did we get from Godwyn to Godfrey to Godfroy? That seems a really big step down. LOL. Yeah, I could see that. I could see the DLC possibly answering that. I don't know, though, how directly Miyazaki wants to address the family lineage thing. Because, like, for example, technically it's never stated that Godwyn is Marika's son. Like, I think maybe in, like, pre-release material, maybe Miyazaki commented on it when he was talking about demigods, I think. I don't think it's ever stated anywhere in-game officially, but everyone pretty much recognizes it. Like, everyone understands when Miquella's talking about, dear brother, I want you to have a proper death, he's talking about Godwyn, right? Like, so everyone seems to basically understand that. Godfroy, I think is a little more ambiguous for people. They're not sure if he's like a son of Marika, or if he's like another descendant of maybe a child of Marika. One problem we have with the demigod families, I think, is that there isn't enough, we don't have enough information about how these demigod families, what families they have, right? Like, are there other sons and daughters of Marika that could be introduced in the DLC? Sons and daughters of Marika, and these sons and daughters have families of their own, and that's how we get more of the lineage that gives us people like Godfroy and Godric. Is that it? Because it feels weird that we have Millennia, we have Miquella, we have Godric, we have Radon, we have Rykard. And, like, I think Rykard's the only one that has a wife, right? With Tanith? Like, none of these characters have families of their own. It's like, wow, they're all incels. That's kind of how Godwyn is the son of Godfrey, and so Godfrey and Godric are simply descendants of this line with no specific placement, like a grandson or whatever. Nothing really said aside from the fact that they are distant descendants. Exactly, so that's the point. If they're a distant descendant, well, how are they distant descendants? Because they have to have that Marika / Godfrey blood somehow, but who's screwing who, in order to give us those types of children? We don't really have obvious candidates so far. And who knows, maybe the DLC will answer that. Maybe we'll figure out that Miquella actually goes around boinking lots of ladies. They love the femboys. Who knows? He's a player. To be fair, he does have the bewitching branch, so, I'm just saying, he can make those girls, accept his seed. Let him plant his Halig tree, as it were. Let's get transported to the future with DLC 2. Oh, gosh. Unfortunately, it's super underdeveloped, sadly. Good old J.R.R. Martin with complicated family tree. I'm sure there's a gigantic family tree that George Martin made, and Miyazaki is just never showing it to us. Yeah, that's I guarantee you that's the case. I bet you that literally, like, Martin did like an entire like Cimmerillion like breakdown of the family history background of the golden lineage. Because there's so much stuff that feels like obvious, like, Miyazaki tropes, like with the Cosmos and the Elden Ring and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Miyazaki was really heavily involved in that stuff, and Martin's thing is mainly just the golden lineage. Like, that's what he made, the family and the history and all that stuff with the culture and the politics of those characters and stuff. And I bet you, like you said, there's this huge, complicated family tree of how everyone relates, and da-da-da, and Miyazaki just, like, put in, like, 5% of it. Because, that's Miyazaki. And then he's like, oh, Martin's text, it's so amazing. I want to release it to you all, but that would go against my principles of my storytelling. So Miyazaki just basically... Miyazaki's like caught between a rock and a hard place between the way he likes to tell his stories and how much he wants to gush and share as a fan of Martin's work. His work. Okay, so Old Wolf of Faron, Faron Keep, Cathedral of the Deep. Cleansing Chapel, Deacons of the Deep, Rosaria's Bedchamber, Catacombs of Karthus. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I don't need anything here. Right? That got me think. Old King's Antechamber. Yeah, I did get shots of the Smoldering Carrion, I'm pretty sure. Demon Ruins. We have shots of the Deacons of the Deep. Oh, sorry, not the Demon Deacons, the Deacons of the Demon. Abandoned Tomb. High Lord Wolnir. It's so funny. My picture for the Chaos Demons, I noticed has a frickin' has a item in the background. It's one of those things that's so easy to notice, but once I notice it, I can't stop noticing it, so it bugs the hell out of me. But I'm like, the image is so perfect, it's impossible for me to recreate it. So like maybe one day I'll try to edit that stupid item bright white light out, but like until then I'm just gonna leave it as is. I'm just gonna accept that as an L for me. High Lord Wolnir. Yeah, I don't see anything here that I... Actually, let me double check Karthus. Do we have a good look at Wolnir's arena? Desert. Without the deserts, burrowed through. Desert became a victim of the drift. Blah, blah, blah. As of the date, desert kingdoms fall. The cultural diffusion, desert name, blah, blah, blah. Desert is afflicted. Entire desert civilization. I'm not seeing anything on Wolnir's dimension thing. Nah, I think it's fine. I don't think I need a shot specifically of the desert thing. I think the shots of Wolnir showcase the cavern with the sandy bits. Yeah, I think that works. Okay, let me look back at you guys. I think Miyazaki said the book he wrote was so good, but we can't show it because it'll ruin Elden Ring style of story. Yeah, I remember. I think we're thinking of the same thing, Adolphus. I know I read something like that from him somewhere. I can't remember if it was a tweet or an interview or something, but I recall him saying that. Way to tease us. It's my first time in these streams, so I'm sorry to ask, but what is this stream about? No problem, Pedro. When I stream, it's usually anything on a given day. I haven't, like, the big thing that I haven't done in a while, but I need to get back to, is my Dark Souls lore play, where in order to promote Abyssal Archive, I'm playing through Dark Souls and giving a lore commentary, essentially, as I go through it. Like, I go through the items and stuff, and I kind of chat with you guys, maybe discuss with you on ideas and things like that. So that's, like, my like, the big, like, I guess, main liner, essentially. But, I basically do, like, if I'm not doing a lore play, I'm doing just, like, Let's Plays of games that I haven't played before, like Demon's Souls Remake, Bloodborne. We did Dead Space a little while back and finish it whenever we want to do non-From Software stuff. But it's mostly just, I have lots of work I gotta do, like these screenshots and things. And, so if I'm gonna do that, why not just stream it with you guys? And then I can answer your questions and stuff as well while I do so, right? Right, today's been a bit of a weird day, though, so I'm kind of just sitting around chatting with you guys more than doing work. Partially because I don't know if there's more work to do here. I think I've already exhausted my Dark Souls 3 stuff that I can possibly take a screenshot of. Like, I've done so much for this game already that these little, like, small things are... Oh! I know what it is! I know what I need! This stupid... I know I need this shot! I remember! Thank you, little menu graphic of Irithel Dungeon. I need the shot of this with the gate closed. I think that's under Sullivan, right? Dungeon. Don't... Alright, let me double check. Where is that shot? I know it's somewhere. I know it's somewhere. Come on. Come on. Uh-huh. Dungeon. Yeah, uh-huh. Oh, do I not have... I might not even have the shot. I know it exists somewhere. There's a lift I should put. We find a lift to this zone. Hence why we find... Oh, yeah, okay. Hence why we find a lift to this zone as soon as we enter. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. I know what I want to do now. Okay. Let's do this. Well, I don't know where the thing is, but yeah, I want a shot of this with the gate closed. But this here, yeah. So it's like, I might have ruined it because I broke this thing. No! Without doing the... Actually, no, maybe having the bonfire here would be better. Yeah, that might be better. Okay, let's do this. Let's reload the area without everything broken because of my stupidity. I'm gonna keep checking for other possible places I might have this image floating around. I'm sad I missed the Mog stream. Don't worry, Xavier, you have the VOD. But yeah, oh god, that Mog stream. It was hilarious. What did I tell you guys? There was no way that Comet Azur wouldn't beat his stupid counting. No way he was gonna get to sex with that one. Loki streams are the best streams. Well, thanks, John. I think they're jank, but I'm glad you like them. OMG. I found the best Elden Ring meme in the Discord now. Oh gosh, when I get back to the Discord, it's gonna be so crazy, isn't it? Oh, no. Oh wait, I don't have the... Right, I don't have the thing, so I have to use the cheat engine. Okay, that works for me. Let me open it. Come on, cheat engine, please work. Camera, free cam. There we go. There we go. Oh, I don't even need to have the... Yeah, I don't even need the... I don't even need the bonfire in the shot. I could just do this. Well, that's neat. That makes my life easier. Okay, when does the... Okay, bonfire appears about here. So as long as I avoid, like, embers or stuff in the shot, I can just do this. Yeah, that works. Yeah, and that's the prisoner. Again, guys, I just want to point out here, the game wants you to believe that this is the front of the building, right? With the big round thing here and the big flat part here with the square. So it's like a square connected to a giant cylinder. And then it wants you to believe you go here. And then I think about, like, here. Yeah. And then you, like, go down an elevator. And then, like, from about here, suddenly you have... Yeah, oh my god, that's... Actually, no, yeah, because this is the way, right? So this is the way you go up here. So basically, the game wants you to believe that here, there's the square here, and the cylinder about here. So it expects you to believe that this is all the same building, even though you travel all the way over there to get to the quote-unquote back of the building. So it's like, hey, this part is apparently here. I find that hilarious. It's even better because, like, it's here. And the best part is this back of the building is also supposed to be facing, like, Archdragon Peak, which, I think Archdragon Peak might actually be on that mountain. I can't remember which mountain it's supposed to be specifically, but it might be, like, a mountain over there or something, but anyway. Just, God, it's so silly. Yeah, Archdragon Peak mountain has to be, yeah, I think it might be that one or something over there. I just find that absolutely hilarious how this all works out. It's like none of Irithel Dungeon makes sense with its layout and stuff. It just hopes you forget it because you're going underground. Kind of like how Profane Capital is, like, technically... Yeah, because Profane Capital comes out here, right? So technically Profane Capital is, like, apparently right here. Next to Undead Settlement. Also, Undead Settlement supposedly has all these buildings that are supposed to be here where Irithel is. Like, gosh darn it. FromSoft, FromSoft does so much weird, janky shit when they take you underground and hope you kind of just forget it so that you won't notice the little sleight of hand they do. It's absolutely hilarious. There we go. I gotta say, I think Martin said he loves gray characters. I guess that makes sense with Mikola being a golden boy, but at the same time he's drugging people with branches. I mean, Miyazaki's characters get pretty have a lot of even the good characters are definitely characters that have a lot of yikes stuff attached to them. So yeah, I think it's just generally, if you're working in dark fantasy, you're gonna have nasty stuff between, you know, rape, murder, pillaging, abuse, manipulation, you know, genocide, slavery. Like, those are like all the tropes in dark fantasy, right? I have a feeling Mikola is going to be a Griffith-like character. I think it's already been clearly established that Mikola is someone who will do whatever is required. Like, he's a character who, if he can't, he will either charm you or he'll make you like him. Like, right? That's the point of his branches. And he's someone who, because he seems so charismatic and charming, he can give off a really good boy aura, even though he can be really nasty when he wants to be, right? That seems to be my impression of his character. Ronnie's also considered by many having a good ending, but she's very much a schemer and a murderer. Yeah, exactly. Like, even if Ronnie's, like, quote unquote, let's assume that Ronnie's ending is the good ending. It's the best ending of all the games or whatever, right? It's the Age of Dark ending. Ouch. Even if that were true, there's no denying that Ronnie does a lot of pretty shady shit to get to that quote unquote happy ending. So, like, yeah, Again, I'm fine with that because I like dark fantasy. I like compelling characters. Again, nothing wrong with just having a hero be a hero, or a villain be a villain. I love my villains after all, especially Dark Souls 3. Yeah, like, you want to have a compelling and interesting character, and I think Elden Ring definitely does that. There's a lot of really cool, complex, just, yeah, a lot of cool, complex characters in it. Nothing more to really say there. Then again, we'll have DLC to show that off. Oh, okay, Mikola, yeah, being a Griffith makes you want a Booker show or something. Then again, we'll have DLC to show that off again. Yeah, exactly. If this really will be like we think, a Mikola DLC and Mikola's dream and all that stuff, again, I'm pretty confident. I know there's people, like I said, like I joked about on Twitter or whatever. I know there's people who want to debate is it Mikola or is it Marika or whatever, and who knows, maybe we'll all be blindsided. It turns out it's Marika or whatever. I'm still skeptical, but whatever it ends up turning out as, I think we're going to get a lot more information on Mikola regardless. Millennia literally calls Mikola the most fearsome of the Empyreans, so yeah, this guy's just not, is not just a good golden boy. Yeah, exactly. Well, keep it, okay, I should clarify that. If I recall correctly, Millennia's dialogue on that is regarding him as, I want to say that's in regards to him being powerful, not necessarily just because, like, not because he's necessarily, like, you know, a less than stellar person or something, right? Like, a less than morally upright character. So, I have to double check, because I can't remember the Japanese dialogue off the top of my head. I have a few... This is the problem with my stupid goldfish memory. Because I haven't properly, like, analyzed Dark Souls 3 and do this stuff, I don't remember so much of the script. It's also a big script, to be fair. So remembering every little detail of that script on top of Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, and Demon Souls, like, it's amazing I keep as much as I do in this little head of mine. Millennia literally calls Mikola, yeah, okay. The Lord of Frenzied Flame ending is pretty crazy. I saw a cutscene of that today because we were chatting about stuff on Discord related to it. Yeah, poor Torrent. Whistle got charred into, like, basically nothing. He's got that weak little whistle coming out. It's like, woo, woo. Can you read Japanese? Yes, Andy. That's why I talk a lot about the Japanese script in my analyses. That's precisely the case. That's why Loki exists. The reason I entered the English community was because I was so aghast at the English localization, the official English localizations to these games, specifically Dark Souls 1. Then I got into Demon Souls as I was working on Abyssal Archive with Dark Souls 1. Obviously, I started doing Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3 in parallel because I needed to come out with something for you guys while Abyssal Archive was in the works, so I was, you know, can't talk about it, NDAs, all that stuff. And then of course I've more recently, I think like a year or two ago, got into Bloodborne, and I've been coming up with Bloodborne stuff for that, because Bloodborne's another one that I had when I first went through the Bloodborne script. I was like, oh wow, the localization for this game's actually pretty okay. It was about my impression of Elden Ring, where I'm like, oh okay, it's probably the best that the localizers at Frog Nation have ever done. And then I got further in the script and realized that I somehow, all the random items in dialogue I was looking at just happened to be all the ones that were localized good, and I found the stuff that is just absolutely god-awful, and I was like, no! What is this? And now I'm doing stuff for Bloodborne too. God, it's funny how my life has changed. If you told me like a decade ago that I would be spending the past almost hitting 6 years maybe, I don't even know, of like working in the FromSoft community, games I played casually, I enjoyed, but they're hardly my favorite games of all time or anything, and I'd be doing this with you guys and chatting and streaming? I think you were high. What research did you learn to learn? I tried Duoling, but I think I need something that would get me to write it. If Duoling's what I think about, because I think I can't remember if it's iMan or Crestfallen. Again, great YouTube channel. You guys should check them out. I think Cresterfallen has used Duoling, I think, because I think that's the link that he sent me. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I don't know. I find that resource is really bad. In my experience, it's not good. My recommendation is, obviously, besides, actually taking, like, proper Japanese classes, is find a bunch of dictionaries. Japanese, either... some of them, you probably want Japanese to English dictionaries first, but you will eventually want to move into just, like, Japanese dictionaries, period, so you can start reading, like, sort of what the Japanese side sort of puts for their definitions of words and things like that to help. And then eventually, once you feel like you have enough proficiency, start just, like, heading into forums or something, or maybe watching media and things like that, like anime or, like, films or something. So that way you can kind of start getting familiar with, like, the language in practice and stuff like that. Obviously, media is not the best way, because, the way characters talk in stories is not the way, real people talk, but it at least should help you kind of develop a familiarity, so you can kind of be like, oh, okay, so that's how that's used, and that's how we're doing, right? That's how I recommend. Now, I've said this before when someone asked me before. I think if I had a bit of a proper educational background for Japanese, like I had a little bit more formal education on that, it might have made things easier for me, especially early on. There's only, again, you can be passionate, and you can do a lot with passion, but it can be a bumpy road, so just keep that in mind. If you really want to get something done. Anyway. Your favorite... Imagine... What's your favorite games of all time? Like, most of what I like is probably romance and horror, so I'd probably have to say the original Dead Space, and obviously Dead Space Remake is probably really high up there. Mass Effect is definitely up there, because I really love RPGs. Trails in the Sky First Chapter is probably really high up there. I really love Trails, especially my first Trails game in FC. Dragon Age Origins. I've never liked a Dragon Age since Origins. Origins, though, is something special. And, the old Battlefront 2. Back from, like, 2005 and stuff. Like, for me, that's an unforgettable game. Just, God, yeah, that was a really good one. Man, I actually kind of want to play it again now. Yeah, so stuff like that would probably be something a lot of those are games I'd probably rank higher than Souls in terms of, like, my personal faves. Like, don't get me wrong. Souls, I love, and I think the way they rank on my charts has gotten higher since I became, like, I stopped being a casual fan and actually, like, tried analyzing the lore, correcting my own misconceptions, or, like, like, casual, because sometimes you just have casual impression stuff and you don't think about it any further because you're just playing these games like, hey, I just play this game once, maybe twice, and then I move on to the next thing, and then you forget. That stuff. Another game I've ranked pretty high in terms of recent stuff. Fire Emblem Three Houses. I really, really love Fire Emblem Three Houses. Like, because I've never, I always, like, I knew friends and stuff who were in Fire Emblem, but I wasn't really into it myself. But, like, Fire Emblem Three Houses really, like, it really blew me away. Battlefront 2 stream when, gosh, John, I think I actually have the PC version, so I don't even need to dust off the PS2 for that one. Nice that the localization mess gives you a good excuse to cover Bloodborne Elden Ring properly too. Yeah, I still haven't decided with Elden Ring because, like I said, Elden Ring's localization is actually pretty alright. Like, the problems with Elden Ring's localization, like, they exist, don't get me wrong, but, like, most of the stuff I would talk about with the localization is, like, quibbles. I was talking to this with an Italian, a major, my Italian counterpart, basically, like, someone who does the same thing I do, but for the Italian community. I was talking to them, in DMs, because they were asking me, they want to, like, bounce Elden Ring thoughts off of me, basically, and get my impressions for stuff. And, we basically kind of agreed, like, one of the amazing things looking at Elden Ring script is how much you're like, huh! Like, you're like, okay, the Japanese says this, and then you look at the English, and it's like, oh, they just translated it straight. Like, it's hilarious that that's what's, like, so amazing to us. Like, we're like, oh my god, they just translated what the text was saying exactly how it said it. They didn't try to be, like, the next Shakespeare and, like, suddenly turn the text into this weird soliloquy with all this fancy language and stuff that could be easily misinterpreted and, or misunderstood. And that's assuming they understood the text properly themselves and weren't, like, completely misleading people on what the core contents is, right? So, like, most of what we have to talk about is just, like, quibbles on maybe word choice. So that's kind of cool. Now, obviously, there's major stuff. I've talked about Ronnie's ending and things like that. But, like, you know, the fact there's a news article about that, I think tells you just how much that gained traction. And I hope it will serve as a wake-up call to Frog Nation that these games are too big at this point. Like I've always said, it's amazing to me how convenient that as soon as the wild popularity of Dark Souls 1 happened, you start seeing a noticeable uptick in localization quality. So it goes from bleh to, like, to Dark Souls in Dark Souls 2, and then finally in Dark Souls 3 we get meh. And now in Elden Ring we get, oh, pretty okay, yeah. By your Italian counterpart, do you mean they do Japanese to Italian? Yes. Because from what I understand, as much as I complain and bitch about the English script, the other scripts in other languages, at least in Europe, are even worse. Because you have to understand, what Frog Nation does is they take the Japanese script and they localize it into English, and then they take that localization script and hand it off to other foreign language localizations, at least in Europe. I think the Chinese and the Korean scripts, they just get straight from the Japanese, because, you know, it's in their region, more Japanese translators probably in their countries, you know, just all that. But anyway, the point is, so you get, like, Italian, German, French, Saudi Arabia, or whatever, like, you have all these other countries, whatever, getting the English script, so you have a bad script that is then getting butchered by other localizers who are making it even worse. So then you have all these crazy bizarre theories in, like, the Italian community that you have Japanese to Italian translators going, okay, we can confirm for you, like, none of this shit is true. It's completely off. And it's like, God, it's absolutely insane. Just watch the anime, you'll learn all sorts of Japanese. I know, baka. Yeah, exactly, though. I'm actually serious, though. That is a, like, it's not something where it's like, hey, just watch anime and you'll learn it all, but if you are learning the language, if you're learning the vocab, if you're learning all the scripts from katakana to hiragana to kanji and all that, and you're watching anime, reading media and stuff, and just sort of building your strength. Like any language, you're eventually gonna grasp it, right? And then eventually you start being able to chat with people and things like that. And then you can start, like, building your familiarity with more, like, conversational Japanese and things like that, right? And obviously there's a cultural aspect that you also have to kind of, like, worm your way in. But, like, yeah, I think the hardest thing for me is that, again, this is, I guess, true to every language. You're always going to be learning new vocab. But kanji is something where it's like, oh, boy. It takes a while to memorize all the kanji, and it can be so easy. It's one of those reasons where when I see text that's super, super blurry, I always dread it, because I'm like, oh, God, this scan, why does it have this blurry-ass kanji that I have to now kind of decipher and hope I don't misread it for another similar kanji that could work in there? Anyway. Did you kill that thing yet you're hitting? I think so. I think I defeated the boss, which is the entire dungeon. You know Loki is thinking when he starts randomly going in circles? Exactly. You know that's my tick when I'm chatting or doing shit. For those guys that don't know, when I talk in, like, normal conversations, the worst thing you could do is have a napkin near me, because I guarantee you I will unconsciously grab that napkin and start tearing it apart into little pieces. I don't know why, but that just is something I unconsciously do. Maybe it's because I'm an artist and my hands just have to be doing something, but yeah. That's what happens. That floor has been molested by his sword. You guys are great. Again, this is why I didn't want to stop. This is why I wanted to continue the stream with a new one, because it's like, God, chatting with you guys is just the best. I love you. I love every one of you. Please like and subscribe. Let's see. Okay, what do we want to look at here? I got the shot that I was really concerned about, right? So we can do that. I'll be able to add it to Sully. Okay, Profane Capital. Are we missing anything? I could maybe get some wide shots of the actual Capitol proper, so let's do that. Because I don't think I have any shots of the Capitol, like, hey, let's look at everything. Because I think it's all limited by the floor, so we'll try some shots there. Yeah, okay. Free cam. Ooh. Yeah, like that. Again, reminder. This is supposed to be, like, right next to Undead Settlement or something. God! Looking at it like this, Profane Capital looks even smaller than like, it really kind of emphasizes the problems with this area. It's way too small and compact for what it's trying to convey. Like, I get it. Most of the city's probably collapsed into that bottomless pit there. Though it makes you wonder how the rest of it is holding up. Well, this thing kind of makes sense. It's, like, literally in the rock face. Same with the palace, but... yeah. I'll be honest, I don't think there's a really good shot I can get of the... Yeah, I don't think there is a good shot of all this shit, because the rock face and stuff gets in the way. Yeah, I don't like any of this. It's all shit. It's all shit. And Dark Souls 3 does that weird thing that makes everything all misty and dusty when you get too far away or whatever, depending on your angle, so it's like, Yeah, just drop like 3 towers. It'll make it look like it's a ruined city. You have the major tower, the palace, 3 towers, and then that kind of church thing that's connected to this weird hallway shit. Oh, we also need to somehow explain how it's connected to the dungeon, so we'll have a shortcut back there, even though it's pointless, as well as a toxic swamp next to the sewer thing. It'll all work out, I promise. That was my best Miyazaki impression. Humana. Oh, I'm on the wrong tab of my browser. I can't see chat. There we go. That bonfire's definitely dead. I murdered the bonfire of the dungeon. You're a good dude, Loki. Well, thanks, John. I don't know about that, but thanks. That makes I guess that helps my self-esteem. Feet pics of Pope Sully. Oh, asking for a friend. No feet pics of the pontiff. He's having a bad day. Things just haven't been going right for him today. Let's not make it worse by taking pics of his feet secretly, surreptitiously. Pastor of Muppets, it's good to see you. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, it's a Daggerfall dungeon on a smaller scale. Is that so? I haven't played Daggerfall, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, I just gotta say it's yeah, I don't blame people for not liking Karthus and Profane Capital. I like the concepts of the area. I like the lore behind them. But I honestly think my theses on Karthus and Profane Capital probably do them more justice than the actual areas do. I literally think that. These are just such not good level designs. It's funny how the 2 areas connected to Dark Souls 2 the most are the ones that are the shittiest levels. I just find that funny, how that worked out. So the Profane Flame is the same flame in Dark Souls 2. There's so much stuff down there that's connected to Dark Souls 2. Yeah, like I said, I talk about it in the theses and stuff. Again, I actually am really happy with how the Profane Capital thesis turned out, because for the longest time, I had all the different... Like, you have to understand, that thesis was basically complete. Like, at least, like, 80% of it was complete, but I could never put it together into a single analysis because there was, I felt like, oh, I'm missing one thing that could really, like, have it all strained together and really all put into a cohesive whole, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I finally did when I finally re-examined the one thing that I kind of just took unquestioningly. Oh, yeah, Yorm's a giant. I didn't really question what that meant. I'm like, yeah, giant, like a giant ray, kind of like what we see in Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 2, and I really started questioning. When I finally re-examined that, it was also another reason why I was like, the Conqueror can't refer to Wolnir, because Wolnir is not a giant, see my Karthus analysis, so therefore, he can't be the ancestor / daddy of Yorm, and it's like, huh. Then I re-examined all that, and like, once that happened, I was like, oh, and it all fell into place. That was all coolio. So let me think. We don't got anything there. Not anything there. Don't need this here. This is fine. These towers, like I said, I'm not finding that angle I want. It all looks like shit. It all looks like shit. Dark Souls 3, why do you do this to me? Like, look, it all looks good, and then you go, woo! I can't tell if that's like a lighting thing where the lighting just does that. It has this weird, like, blooming aura thing that makes everything, like, all white and overexposed, but it's like, I hate it. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy, why'd you decide to perch up here? I never had a problem with the Profane Capital. Karthus, on the other hand. Yeah, I agree with most people that Profane Capital is on a good level, and same with Karthus, for sure. The thing with Karthus, like I said, I love the concept. I get what Karthus is doing, right? It's kind of trying to do what it does with the Chalice dungeons, but here's the problem. The Chalice dungeons were bad levels as it is, and you basically recreated them. But it isn't for the necessity of creating copy-paste levels that you can use for a super, big procedurally generated concept. Well, it's not really procedural generation, but you know what I mean, right? Like, it's not doing that, it's just a regular level. And so it feels really bad. It looks really bad, it feels really bad, it doesn't have enough character. Oh no, you added a bunch of skeletons ornamenting the areas. Ooh, it's so unique. It's like, no, it's literally the most generic catacomb level. Dark Souls 1's catacombs have more character to them that makes them stand out from the generic catacombs of, like, Elder Scrolls or some shit compared to Dark Souls 3. Like, Karthus is just such... it's such wasted potential. And like I said, it'd be so simple. Just make part of the problem is that the lore changed, right? Like they didn't decide on the final lore until relatively late in development, and when they finally settled on that thing, they didn't have time to really, redesign all the levels to make it fit, right? This is something where I think a Dark Souls 3 remake could definitely fix it. Oh, I finally got my stretch out thing. Hey, Gilligan. Got killed by Sully. Feels bad, man, after you did all this for him, too. All those ladders and platforms. Anyway. Gotta get to here. Profane was my favorite. I'm tarded, though. It's fine. We all have our... What do they call them? Guilty pleasures? I'll be honest, I don't believe in a guilty pleasure, because if I like something, it's because I think there's at least something good or worthwhile about it, so I don't... Again, my avatar is Velka with Kirino Kosaka from My Little Sister Can't Be This Cute as my profile picture. Like, you should know what my tastes for things are. So yeah, I don't quite understand the concept of a guilty pleasure. Lothric Castle. No. Dragon Barracks. No? I don't think so. We got the stuff from the Boreal Knight. We've already done stuff for Dragon Slayer armor. I'm pretty sure we got all the good stuff for Grand Archives. We did Twin Princes. Archdragon Peak, we talked about that. That's done. Let's do Kiln of the First Flame, because there might be something here. Yeah, I don't feel guilt for my pleasures. Exactly, John. Yeah, I understand the concept, right? It's something you're kind of embarrassed about because it's something that maybe most people wouldn't like, or or most people think it's trash or whatever. But you even realize it's like trash, like it's bad storytelling or something. But you like it anyway. But like, if you like something because it's bad, why would you feel guilty about that? Or if everyone says it's bad, but you think it's good, or at least there's something good about it that you think doesn't make it as bad as people say, like why not say it? Again, maybe I'm just an asshole, but I just like saying like, hey. You're wrong. I'm right. End of story. I think this is good, or I think the what you're thinking makes it trash or bad or whatever is invalid, right? Like, it's especially fun. I especially find it weird when it's like something's like a parody, so like it's supposed to be over the top and quote unquote bad. So like, doesn't that make it good though? Because the intention of the work is to make you laugh or entertain you over that stuff. So therefore, like, again, it feels like people feel like if it has to be bad, it has to be this super serious, super organized story with no plot holes or anything else doing so, and it perfectly presents everything, so you're never at any point confused. It's like, God, how boring. Have some variety in life. There's different. You don't have to judge everything by the same metric. Don't need to do that. So I think this is the safest spot for me, right? And then we'll do... and then this. Let's do this. That way our character is out of the way, probably, of most shots we're gonna take here. I gotta go drop a human dreg. Go crazy, Andy. Make sure it goes down to the deepest deep you can flush. Oh yeah, I got my old PS3 set up. I'm gonna get a copy of Demon's Souls and experience the OG. Oh, that's great, John. My PS3 seems to be dead. I pulled it out like a year or so ago, and like I couldn't get it to work and all that stuff. I might pull out the hard drive and try to extract the data because there's like some stuff in there that I want to keep for sentimental value. But like, yeah, I think it's just dead. I don't think they're salvaging that one. Look at all that copy-pasted Lothric assets because they couldn't be bothered to make kingdoms for every country of every age. Well, to be fair, it's not necessarily every country of every age or whatever, right? It's randomly picking different countries from these different ages, and you know what I mean. You can read my fucking third beginning post. Oh, yeah. It's like, hey, just take the bonfire, and you can like go to the rest of the Dread Keep over there, over on this other side of all this shit. That's where there's gonna be another giant tree and a giant pit that leads into the Kolias demon stuff. And to think this will all be a desert. A desert of ash. Okay. Maybe something like these? Be honest, I'm liking this more. I don't want the eclipse in the shot here because, you know, it looks weird if it's only partially visible. So I think this is good. Again, showcasing pillars and stuff of, oh, back when the first flame used to actually do something when it was lit. You know, back when it actually, you know, did its job as the first flame and be a big, impressive flame. Don't do that anymore. Oh, we can get a shot of our boy here. My goodness, I just realized how big his bonfire sword is. Like, holy crap, they really want to make it match with his size, so it at least doesn't look too unnatural when he's changing around, huh? Are you kidding me? I assume that's what that's the sword that replaces this one when the animation is done. That's actually kind of hilarious, though. Yeah, I get the eclipse in there. Again, I don't know if I'm ever going to use this shot or anything, but might as well get it while we're here. I remember people saying there's like some differences between like the armor you get in game and the actual model here, or concept art maybe, or something. I'm kind of curious. Do you guys know what that detail is by chance? It's hard to tell because sometimes these armor models look really low poly compared to like the renders that people can do outside of the game. Wait, is there actual? Oh my god, there's a charred face in here. That's actually kind of cool. I guess that makes sense because like this is supposed to be open technically, right? No, let me double check that. Maybe have to press X to doubt. Oh no, that's part. Yeah, that's part of the armor. Yeah, that's definitely part of the armor. That's not open. It's part of the armor. It just is made to look like it's a skull. Anything there? No. Anything for the symbol on the back? Hell no! Look how fucking muddy that texture is. No way, Jose. Dark Souls 3 has problems if they nailed the look and feel of the dying world. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, if you read my work, you probably understand that I probably have a much more positive opinion of Dark Souls 3 story and world than maybe some people do. I'll be honest, I don't think Dark Souls 3 has that many critics. I think most people like it definitely more than Dark Souls 2, obviously. Just look at the sales numbers and everything and all that. But my problem with the Dark Souls 3 narrative is that when you get closer to Firelink Shrine and basically the premise to the game, it gets a bit nonsensical. But once you get away from that and you get into the larger world building and the way it connects, the way it interweaves Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 1 and 2's lore into creating the setting, it just feels so good and so natural and so well thought out and stuff. Like, that is what I think is impressive. And like you said, the feel of the game is definitely, it nails exactly what it's going for. That feeling of a dying world. Of a world where it's like, please, stop having us make Dark Souls sequels. Let the series die. Last time I played PS3 was probably about 10 years ago almost. Yeah, I feel like the same. It's been a while. I basically moved almost exclusively to PC years ago, so. Dark Souls 1 nailed the dying world anyway. Yeah, it's very true. Dark Souls 1 also kind of nailed it, but to a lesser extent. There was definitely a lot more vibrancy to Dark Souls 1, right? Dark Souls 2, I guess people might say it's like somber tone, like you can feel that from like the music, Firelink Shrine music, just the general look, obviously everything. A lot of the game, especially the earlier and like both the earliest and the latest levels are all gray, right? So there's definitely kind of that feel of kind of like somberness, right? Like kind of like sucking the life and color out of the world and all that. But I think it's mostly good. Anything else we could really want? Let's take shots, I guess, of the swords and stuff? Question mark? Yeah, I guess this'll do. Everyone who connected the bonfires, the soul. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna just say this right now. The Soul of Cinder, or as the Japanese name is, the avatar / incarnation of the kings, is the best concept that Miyazaki could have come up with. Because Dark Souls 2 had that problem where it's like, oh, you can choose whether to link the fire or start the Age of Dark, but you have to fight the Lord of Cinder. But it's like, wait a second, the Lord of Cinder should be the player character of Dark Souls 1. So what do? Are we gonna canonically decide who the player character is? And Dark Souls 2 did the shitty choice of basically saying like, no, we're gonna just cut the game short before you have to fight that character, before you have to encounter that character and make the choice, right? And everyone hated that, right? Like everyone hated feeling like you had less choices than Dark Souls 1 and all that. Then Dark Souls 3 comes around, and Miyazaki has the problem. Okay, I want to still do this Age of Fire, Age of Dark question, like because Miyazaki's basically decided that has to be like the core to Dark Souls. I don't like it, but that's what he feels is essential to a Dark Souls story, right? So how's he going to be able to have us not have the same pitfalls as Dark Souls 2. Okay, we'll have the Lord of Cinder, but we'll make it where so many have become Lords of Cinder that now you're fighting a boss which is just the amalgamation of all of them put together. Plus, Miyazaki gets to do what he always wanted to do and be able to have Gwyn be a quote-unquote tough fight. Because again, for those that don't know, Gwyn was not supposed to be the pushover. It is not intentional for Gwyn to be this joke of a boss fight. Miyazaki is actually incredibly. If you read in the design, if you read the DesignWorks interview, Miyazaki is so disappointed by how weak Gwyn ended up being in the game. Like, they made a joke, parry, 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 right? Like, it's like, wow, like, pathetic. That's why in Dark Souls 3, Soul of Cinder can't be parried. Because Miyazaki realized, oh, I didn't think of that. He just wanted to have Gwyn represent how, oh, you need all your skills, everything you learned in going through your playthrough of Dark Souls, and bring it all to this boss fight. It'll be this super strong, epic fight against this great god character. It's going to be so amazing. And then, like, the only skill that players ever needed to learn in Dark Souls turned out to be parry. Soul of Cinder is an amalgam of all the Lords of Cinder that ever linked the flame. Chandra and Aldi are very much gameplay letdowns as final bosses. Exactly. So I think it's great because it lets Miyazaki do what he always wanted to do with the Gwyn boss fight. It lets players have that experience where, again, they can actually be involved in the choices of the game, even though a narrative roadblock has to be the Lord of Cinder, right? And it's just a great way to... I just think it's a great concept in general. Like, just the idea that there's so many Lords of Cinder, that you have so many lords that are taking the soul of the past lords while they're carrying on this legacy, that it basically becomes that their individuality gets lost in this singular shared trait, which is the will to protect the bonfire at all costs, right? That singular will that they all share, and it just becomes sort of their individuality almost becomes lost in the hive mind. I think that's such a cool concept. I think it's Miyazaki's inspired decision on how to handle this entire scenario. As a writer, I'm really impressed with what he did there. But again, I said the same thing, like when with how Sullivan got split into two characters, so it's Sullivan and Aldrich instead of just the one, which was again Aldrich's boss model. Because again, Sullivan and Aldrich, their characters being two separate people, work so much better as a dynamic than when they were the same person. Just so much better. It's so much more interesting. There's so much more intrigue and, you know, like, relations and, you know, complications and politics involved in that. Like, I think that was another just inspired choice by Miyazaki. I think we got everything I could possibly get for this area, except maybe the flowers. I guess I should take shots of the flowers, because I kind of want to highlight this in the future anyway. Because one thing that my analyses don't do is I don't factor in potential flower symbology into the stuff, because I'm not familiar with flower language, either English flower language or Japanese flower language, which is what I assume Miyazaki and FromSoft are using, if they use it at all for these games. But if anybody knows somebody, or they themselves are like experts on flowers or whatever, I would not mind you guys just like dropping it in my Discord or something. Like all the flowers and stuff, and I can look up a few Japanese sites that have to deal with flower language and all that, and kind of see how that works out. But just knowing what these flowers are, because again, I know nothing when it comes to plants. Okay, I think that covers everything, right? Yep. We're gonna just assume this is all done. They're the same flowers in Bloodborne. Oh, is that so? That's interesting, if that is true. Wait. I thought I did this. Yeah, Shrine Bonfire. Yes. Okay, I forgot to hit that. Okay, let's turn off the free cam. Okay. Okay, people. What else can we do? Back to Ariandel. Nothing in the village. I think we got all the stuff for the Corvian village. Snowfield, I think we got the stuff. I already did Undead Matches. That came out. So we already got all the stuff with the wolf and the champion and the grave tender and all that. I'm pretty sure I already have shots of the bell and stuff, and I can get this anytime on my other account, on my main account anyway. Already got the shots with Velka statue. Already got the shots with Priscilla. Don't think I need anything here. I think I got the shots of the crabs already. I have to double check that, though. Grave Tender, like I said, we got that. So I don't think any of this stuff is important. Let's do Sister Frida, though, because I think, I want to try something. Ooh, actually, I think I need to switch to my other character. Yeah, because I think I need, I think I need Cast Light. Yeah, I think so. Let me double check. Where is... There we go. Yeah, sure, Frida. Hello? Because I got shots of this crap. That's not the problem. The problem is... it's really hard to get good shots of behind here. Even after... because getting it after everything's on fire defeats the point because, well, there's the fire and it's just destroying everything and nothing gets looked at. Because, okay, we have the space. Okay, we got books and stuff because, you know, Velka, goddess of knowledge and all that. So all her shit, all the religious shit in the painting has to have, like, books and things. So it's like, oh, knowledge, it's not like faith or anything like that, blah, 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 right? And then, of course, you got the statues of the High Priestess being repurposed as Velka statues, because they're like, hey, we'll deface it, just like the Velka statue over at the main front of the chapel. So, people will totally make the connection, right? The answer is no. Anyway, so, yeah, so it's like, okay, we got the Velka statues here that we'll have here, to kind of reinforce that. Even though we will never see it while this stuff is here. Also, how the hell are you supposed to get behind me? Like, are these supposed to be doors or something? Like, how is this supposed to work? How are you supposed to get back here? So many questions. But then you have, like, okay, here's, like, a shrine, but they removed the Velka the tinier Velka statue here, like they did in the village and all that, right? But you can't really see it, because unless I'm, like, up here or some shit, you can't really see any of the details. Actually, even... yeah, even now, you, like, can't really see it. It's all black blur. More books on the shrine, because, again, Velka. So, what I want to do is get, like, Cast Light or something. And, maybe see if that will, brighten up this area enough so I can take a shot of, like, this or something. Probably better to use this one, because I think there's less roots in the way. Or not. Ew. It's all awful. It's all awful. I hate it. I hate it. But yeah, I'd probably get a shot like this. But with, like, light. Again, I hate these stupid roots, but oh yeah, this'll work. I can do... there we go. Now the roots aren't really a problem. Woo! Okay, gotta remember this, chat. Dude, give him his flail. No. Also, wait a second. It triggers it. It triggers the flail sound if you're here. Give me my flail. I did. But you already have your flail. I hear it. I hear it, Father. What are you complaining about? It's right here. Oh, God, it's great. I think I already have these, but just in case I'm forgetting. I don't even care that the stuff isn't loaded, because I think I want these shots, possibly in case I need to edit them, because like I said, I think I already have these shots. I think we took them last time we were here, getting all my stuff. So, we'll just do this. There we go. There we go. Anything, more specific we want here? Nope. Nope, we're all good. Nothing here. Frida's lovely pictures of herself without her burn scar. Naturally. Nothing up here, right? Nope. Just the back of the building. Oh, look at all the people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the shot of this stuff isn't the best. We already have concept art and stuff that, or I think even people have done straight rips from the game files that give us better high quality image of that, so I think we're worried. That's not really a concern. This I got a shot of because thankfully we have candles up here to make that stuff brighter, so we get all the snakes up here. There's a statue there? Andy, if you're asking about the shrine here, there isn't a statue there, and that's why it's significant. Because it's very clearly a shrine, and this giant negative space shows there should be a statue here, but the idol has clearly been removed, right? So you have these bigger statues. These are harder to remove, so you just deface them, right? You just lop off the head, because again, historically, defacing is a way that you kind of show how your god is weak, right? Like, they let their idols be damaged or whatever, right? Because the idol is supposed to be a way for the god's essence or presence to be captured by their worshiper in, polytheistic faiths, at least in ancient times. So there's that concept there. And then you can't do that with the bigger statues. They're just too big and hard that you can't do it at least quickly, right? Like, you have to take time, you have to get people to, pick it up and move it out or break it or whatever, right? So they basically just lop off the heads and call it a day. But for the smaller idols, yeah, those you could just easily be like, okay, I'm taking it off. So this is where it's super obvious. And that combined with, again, the defaced statues and stuff, it tells you, oh, okay, yeah. So all the Velka worship is no bueno anymore. You're not allowed to worship Velka anymore in the painting because what's her, Frida is the new Lloyd. It's all about her. Sure. Yeah, Velka and Priscilla and all that's very important, but, focus on Frida. She's the current person in charge here, so just listen to whatever Frida tells you. She's the good spokesperson for the good father. What's the statue that you find at the end of the boss room? That's a shrine to Priscilla, right? So, okay. Again, I'm going to cover this in my Aryan Dell thesis, but this is a good thing to highlight now. Recall how in Dark Souls 1, the idea was you go into the crypt underneath the monastery, and in that crypt with all those stupid bone wheel skeletons, you'll find a crank. You turn the crank, and then directly above that crank, with the chains and all that, you'll have this statue move and turn to face the doors. The big doors then open, and they take you down a long hallway leading to Priscilla, right? And the idea is that you have Velka with her little baby daughter, Priscilla here, represented. And the idea is kind of like how Priscilla was guided into the painting, so for her safety and stuff, you got Mommy Velka like, okay, I'm now going, we're going to turn Mommy Velka to face the doors and open the doors as if they're trying to lead Priscilla in here for her to be safe. And it's sort of a nice little symbolism on how you reach Priscilla. Now, in this game, we do the same thing. We go into the crypt beneath the chapel, we turn the crank, directly above there's the statue of Velka, might even be the exact same one from Aryan Dell, who knows. That statue raises and turns, it opens the way, and then you go down the long hall, but instead of Priscilla, you have an idol of Priscilla. See the wooden, it's a bunch of wooden cylinders with a rope running through them, and then you go up the thing, and you find at the top of this string of wooden blocks is a carving of a woman's head, a woman's face. And of course, enshrouding this wooden thing is a white dragon tail skin. Very scaly. And then covering it is, of course, a white fur. So this is reminiscent of Priscilla's white coat, if you guys recall. Of course, she had the big furry coat clothing that she wore. And her tail was also covered in a special fur coat clothing. But again, looking at her face and knowing that her relation to, well, looking at her daughter, Yorshka and stuff, and the painter in this game, right? It's like, okay, yeah, so here's her white scaly tail skin. So they basically just took this white scaly tail skin and basically built a shrine honoring her after she died, right? And then Yorshka seems to take the rest of the body and takes it outside the painting to Irithyll, where it's buried in the spot where the Ariama's gallery used to be relative to the Anor Londo ruins, right? So, like, the ruins to the Cathedral of Anor Londo are there, and then right to the right of that cathedral is the Church of Yorshka, which was where the Ariamis Gallery used to be, right? Because we take the pathway that would normally lead to the gallery, but instead it leads us to the top of Yorshka's tower, right? And then, like, behind there's the graveyard of the Yorshka thing, and that takes you to the giant grave, which has a Corvian praying to it, because obviously that's Priscilla, because, you know, big girl Priscilla, half-dragon, very important to Velka worshippers, the Corvians, and all that, because, you know, Velka's daughter. So all of that is, you know, the master of the painting, blah, 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 all that. Anyway, me ranting about lore for Dark Souls when I'm just trying to get screens. God, you guys have really put me in a good mood tonight. How did Priscilla die? Did we kill her? That's something I'm investigating for the thesis, because it's very curious. How you'd think that Priscilla, so loved by everyone in the painting, would be kept pretty safe from death. But it's very curious. Does it connect to this imagery of these two shadowy cloaked figures? One strangling, one crushing a white snake here, and the other stabbing another? I don't know. It could be these two figures represent the ashes, and these snakes represent Yorshka and the painter. And obviously you have all these people. I think, if I recall correctly, there's like fire effects here, so it's like these people are like burning in hellfire and like while this is happening. So this may be like a prophecy of doom, that this is like the bad ending of what's going to happen if you're not bewaring or whatever. There's going to be two shadowy figures who are going to try to stop the end of this world when it reaches its natural end or whatever. And if you asked me who would be giving this prophecy, given again all this stuff back here, my answer would be Velka. That this is like Velka's revelation. She figured out her daughter died, whatever the circumstances. She's probably not happy about it. She says, okay, I'm going to warn you now. You guys are going to go through hard times. If you're not careful, be wary. This is what happens when you don't take care of my daughter. And she basically just left them to their fate. That's why I think Gale and stuff is like, oh, merciful goddess, watch over our resolve, right? Because that's a big thing, is how they like, hey, we resolved we were gonna let the painting end or whatever, but then like Frida and Father Arian, Frida, quote unquote, tricked Arian father, the good father, into keeping the painting going for as long as possible, even as it rots away. Because, you know, we love this world as it is, right? So I feel like when Gale's like saying that to Velka, it's almost an appeal of, hey, Velka, hey, are you watching? Like, I know you may be maybe you're not happy with us entirely, but like, we've made our decision. We're actually gonna move on and all this stuff, and not leave behind the not like kind of like rot here. So like, please, give us your blessing, your favor. And obviously with Gale, he then meets us, the Ash, and he's like, oh, it's so good. Wait, Yorshka isn't Priscilla? Well, no. The name should kind of give it away. Yorshka? It's not Priscilla, yeah. No, Yorshka is Priscilla's daughter. Yeah, if you read my book, Abyssal Archive, which I can't remember, we talked about earlier this stream or last stream, I can't remember. The streams are blending together. Yeah, I go over in Abyssal Archive why Priscilla is very clearly Gwendolyn's mom. And obviously Gwyn is the dad. Gwendolyn is Gwyn's youngest child, his lastborn, right? Yorshka, Gwendolyn is Yorshka's big brother. So that means that they can't share a dad, because obviously, again, Gwendolyn's the youngest of Gwyn's kids. So therefore, if Gwendolyn is Yorshka's older brother, that means they share a mom, not a dad. And Gwendolyn's dad is Priscilla. Obviously, looking at Yorshka, it's kind of obvious she's the child. She's got white dragon blood in her to some extent. So I don't know, what do you call her? A half dragon, a quarter dragon? whatever the technical term is. She's clearly the child of the half dragon Priscilla. For those that don't know, half dragon is the Japanese term of what the localization called in Dark Souls 1 crossbreed. So when she's called crossbreed Priscilla, the Japanese is calling her half dragon. Because again, obviously, yeah. Anyway, so let's see. Is there anything I'm missing here? I'm sorry, guys. You guys are probably have no care for me just, like, discussing... Like, some of you are asking questions, but I don't know if it's that interesting listening to me just kind of rant about lore while I just look around this area like a moron. I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting with this area, but I really do think we need to go to my other account and use my cast light spell on this. We'll try that. Bye, Irina's husband. Irina wants a divorce. Darn. My marriage is ruined. That's fine. I'll go back to my true waifu, Velka, anyway. Loki. I'm interested. Well, thanks, Xavier. That makes one of you. Is the painter girl part dragon too? Yeah, if you look closely, John, you'll... What the fuck? What the fuck? I see. Oh, right, because we were testing the... We were doing this for the post, right? Yeah, where am I? Where are my items? I feel naked. There we go. Everything's right in the world. Woo! Let's see. Highwell of Lothric, Ariandel, Sister Frida, yeah. I'm also very interested. Andy, I enjoy it. Oh, well, thanks, guys. I'm happy. I'm glad you do that. Like, I know my whole shtick is lore, and specifically the translation angle, but I just don't know how interesting I make these streams when I'm just talking about it, outside of, like, the lore plays, where you just at least see me playing while I'm, doing play segments in between, my rants. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I have cast light here. Okay. Perfect. So let's move our character over here. Yeah. And I hope I'm making sense, because I know this is like off the cuff and all that stuff, and it's not like I have all the data and stuff in front of me, so I could be misremembering something, or I'm leaving out something that might help with you guys on how this works, but I think I'm doing a good job illustrating to you guys my logic and reasoning for why I come to the conclusions I do. Like I said, it's never going to be as good as me, like, writing it down, right? Because, you know, it has all my collected accumulating knowledge in an organized, well-thought-through way. Like, you know, that's kind of the point of writing. Gives you a lot of opportunity to do that. But, yeah. Hello? There we go. Alright, so... Who is the painter girl, anyway? Again, it seems to be another child of Priscilla, much like, Yorshka. You'll actually hear, one of my favorite pieces of dialogue in this DLC is when you climb up the ladder, and then you hear, the painter basically talking to herself, or at least she thinks she's alone when she's talking, so, she's just basically talking to herself about how her mother, like, she's quoting her mother saying, basically, those who are, I think the localization says, like, consumed by fire, but basically the line is something like, those who, you have to know fire in order to, those who don't know fire, cannot paint the world. Those who are captivated by fire shouldn't or must not paint the world. And the idea, of course, being is that this is a reference, and she's like, oh yeah, I haven't forgotten mother, right? So that's the one reference to the painter understanding, like, hell yeah, Priscilla's her mom, and she's basically what Priscilla is telling the painter is like, hey, you have to know, because it's a reference in parallel to the Lords, right? Because the idea is that the Lords became the Lords, that literally basically reshaped the entire history of this world, right? Like, they're the ones who made what we see today what it is in the outside world, not in the painting, obviously. Well, I guess they're technically reason the painting was made, right? So, like, yeah, even that, like, everything in this world as we know it, is because the Lords came to know fire, and they found the Lord souls, and they built civilizations, right? And they became more than just animals. They became peoples, and they built these complex and great civilizations that completely overtook and conquered the age, as it were, right? So the idea that that idea of, hey, you have to know fire in order to paint the world, to paint it your colors, to make it as you wish it, right? But the point that she then makes is, hey, those who are captivated by fire, they shouldn't. This is not once you become quote unquote captivated. Now the term for captivate here means like captivated, attracted to. This is a term which is used in the Dark Souls 1 intro cinematic, but only the Japanese version. The localization completely cut this out. It's one of the areas I talked about in my first beginning post and in Abyssal Archive because it's such an important detail that they left out because it gets brought up several times in Dark Souls 1. It's a very important thing you have to understand. The lords were born in a world. They were born, quote unquote, out of the dark, right? They were animals born from the dark. Because, again, where fire is not is naturally, logically, in the dark. So they never knew, they didn't know fire. They just knew a dark world, right? A world without fire. So when they saw fire, it absolutely dazzled them. It was this mesmerizing thing. Again, think about when you're a child, when you see, like, a child or a cat or whatever, see like a laser pointer or like a bunch of things that their minds can't possibly comprehend this thing, but it's so fascinating and cool, and it sort of draws their attention in like an almost unnatural way, right? And so the idea is that the lords themselves, they were so captivated, attracted to the fire, that it drew them close. Right? They're attracted to it, so they're drawing closer to it. And because they drew close to it, they ended up stumbling upon the Lord's souls, which were near the fire. Localization says within, but it's actually nearby, around. Like, basically, it's in the vicinity of the fire, but not inside of it. Because obviously, if it was actually within the flames, well, they would be, they'd be kind of, the Lord's stories would have ended very soon. I think we could all agree if they actually were trying to grab Lord souls out of the fire. But anyway, the idea is that because they were captivated by the flame, it completely consumed them. And the idea is that it has this obsessive, mesmerizing effect. And the idea is you can't be so distracted by flame that it consumes everything, that all else is out of your attention, right? You need to have perspective, right? See the forest from the trees. You need to understand that fire is temporary. You need to understand that things need to move on after fire. You need to understand that that you need to keep things going, right? So the idea is that, hey, this world is made of fire. Understand that this world, which was created by, again, a god of Anor Londo, sunlight powers, the power of fire. I go over in the Ariandel thesis I've written. You can actually check the draft in my Discord server. I've actually covered this portion describing, like, the underlying nature and cosmology of the painting, as Dark Souls 3 thankfully builds upon. Because I barely even mentioned Abyssal Archive, because it's not important. You get the basic concept, right? Like, using the power of light, which is time, and therefore control over space-time, you create a new dimension by mixing it with paint as a medium. Like, that's an easy enough concept to grasp when you've read everything else in my my 2-volume work. But the idea of the fire is the painter has to see the flames. And then once she sees and understands and knows the fire's burning through, is going to destroy this old world now in obviously the painting's universe. Then she can then use the dark soul, again, a soul which will allow her to create an eternal world that's cold, dark, and kind, much like this one, but obviously because it's Dark Souls, it's immortal, right? It'll exist forever, which is the same concept of, hey, when the Age of Fire ends, we'll then have an eternal Age of Dark, or at least we were supposed to. Like the villager says, we burn the worlds for the next one, unlike those fools on the outside, right? Those stupid fools that still cling to their dying world. Well past its prime. Lore Master Loki. Well, thanks, Cherry Blue. So Priscilla is Velka's daughter with who? Seath? Yes. So, again, recall in Dark Souls 1, Priscilla's an illegitimate child. So, yeah, I've talked about this before. So, and Abyssal Archive goes on, like, it spills all the deets. So, again, you can check it on my website and stuff, or you can just go to, http, //abyssalarchive.com, or maybe just abyssalarchive.com. That will redirect you to the buy page for Abyssal Archive and stuff. Again, check if you want the physical or the digital version. Digital is much cheaper, depending on what you're willing to swallow for prices and all that. Also, obviously, digital you get instantly. We're still waiting for the prints and all stuff on the physical. But point is that the physical edition. This might be better. I might be able to make that work. Anyway, the point is that as I go over in the book and all that, the family's basically like this. Seath defeats the dragons. Gwyn, who's so very grateful for Seath, decides he needs to make him Duke. Well, there's going to be a problem with that, because you just spent an entire quote-unquote war essentially exterminating this entire race of beings, or at least near exterminating, and then enslaving the survivors, to and obviously they miss some because, you know, gaping dragons. But anyway, the point is like you're doing all this stuff to like kill or enslave all these dragons, right? For the good of your age, and obviously they've killed so many of your own men, so all your people have a lot of enmity for these guys, and they think of them as this lesser species that they've been all like for years and years preparing and training just to kill. And suddenly, just because this one dragon at the very end of the conflict decides to be a little shit and betray his kind, and become the join sides with you to try to get in your good graces. And yeah, sure, maybe he, like, saved, who knows, countless soldiers who would have otherwise died if he didn't do this betrayal and kill some of his dragons by stabbing them in the back, right? Maybe that's true, but he's still one of those filthy, stinking dragons. So how is Gwyn, who wants to reward and heap all this stuff onto Seath, gonna justify it? How's he gonna justify making him a duke, a title, give him a title that basically would make him, like, the highest rank above many of the other gods of his own tribe? Well, he's gonna marry him to his daughter. So so Guinevere marries Seath, and then Seath becomes a duke, he gets a lord soul, has the primordial crystal, gets access to the gods' archives, so he can do his research, blah, 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 blah. Seath basically becomes Gwyn's favorite son-in-law. But Seath, being Seath, he only cares about researching the scales, right? Now, we know in Dark Souls 3 Ring City that Seath and Guinevere did consummate their marriage, and that's how we get Shira, daughter of the duke, descendant of the progeny of gods, all that. Part of the royalty, and again, if you've been following Abyssal Archive, you are not surprised by Shira's existence. You're like, oh, they actually had a kid. That's the bigger surprise, not the idea of it. Shira. So they gave birth to Shira, and Seath seems to really love his daughter and dotes on her and all that shit, right? But he's still, like, his focus is the scales, right? So eventually he comes into contact with Velka, which, as we know, Velka's a goddess of knowledge. She likes to dabble in all sorts of magic, especially the heretical kind, like the dark. And so so they seem to get in a relationship, and as a result, the illegitimate child Priscilla is born. Now, as we can see with Dark Souls 1 and in Dark Souls 3, Velka ends up, this obviously becomes a huge scandal, not in least part because not only is this basically the princess of the kingdom, her husband cheated on her, with a heretical witch who has a lot of influence in the court for reasons. All this is happening, and the resulting progeny has this weird life hunt ability because Velka has a dark affinity, Seath has a moonlight affinity, so when you combine those two of their souls, then the resulting child soul ends up having this weird, quote-unquote, dark moon affinity that results in life hunt manifesting, which, again, I go over that again in Abyssal Archive, the cosmology and stuff behind that, and obviously soul genetics and all that shit. Anyway, point is, all that happens. So then Priscilla ends up getting locked up in Undead Asylum, because it seems to have been originally an Anor Londo facility that they would put, like, criminals, you know, keep them really far away in, like, an isolated prison or whatever. But Velka, being Mommy Velka, is like, hey, how about you, like, build a new facility closer to home, and I'll personally oversee this, like, prison for you, but just let me do it so I can keep my daughter safe, because, you know, there's all these people who are trying to kill her, despite the fact you're locking her up, right? And then that happens. And then, Seath is obviously nowhere to be seen. He basically dumps her, right? Because, you know, if Seath ever had any feelings for Velka, it clearly wasn't important enough to jeopardize his research, so he's basically like, I'm not involved in this. And, obviously, Guinevere's all pissy. That's why in the, obviously, she's pissed about all this situation. So when Ariamis gets built, and, Velka puts, as I talked about earlier with the statue, Velka guides, and puts, young little child Priscilla, again, she left her little girl's doll back at the asylum. After she puts her in the painting, we see statues of Guinevere flanked by silver knights overlooking that painting from on high. So you really get that ominous feeling of, oh, Guinevere, wife of Seath, not really happy about that illegitimate child. And she ends up gifting the painting guardians a divine blessing because it was like, hey, good job keeping that filthy, stinking homewrecker inside that stupid piece of art. Anyway, so, like, yeah. I swear, the scandals in Anor Londo are crazy. They need a Dr. Phil episode. Anyway, but, so that's happening. And then later, Gwyn ends up, later on coming in, doing the diddly with Priscilla, sires Gwendolyn, and then Gwendolyn comes out of that. And then, as we learn between the events of Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, Priscilla seems to find a new man, and that's how we get Yorshka and the Painter. And so, Yorshka ends up being Gwendolyn's younger half-sister, and then, who he apparently only learns about when she comes with his mom's corpse, and being like, hey, I don't have a name. And Gwendolyn, apparently, because obviously you can imagine, everyone knows about how complicated Gwendolyn's relationship with his dad is, so just imagine how that works with his mom. Kind of hated by everyone, an illegitimate child, born of scandal, dark affection, dark affinity and stuff and all that, like... Yeah, his relationship with his parent, like, there's a reason why the Painted Guardians are still basically keeping Priscilla in and everyone else out, right? Like, and as we see in Ring City, the Painting Guardians are also, quote unquote, they also double as servants to Gwendolyn and stuff, because, you know, naturally he's the child of the half dragon they so revere. Anyway, yeah, so I'm talking all about all this shit. Dude, give me more lore. No problem, Andy. Good night, y'all. See ya, Adolphus. Zuli, Seth is playa. Always thought Velka was Gwyn's wife or somewhat. Actually, no, I've actually said I don't put this in Abyssal Archive because I don't have enough evidence to substantiate it. But if you ask my hunch, like, if you ever told me I had the chance to interview Miyazaki and I could like ask him anything, I would totally ambush him with the question. I'd say this in Japanese, of course, but I would ambush him with the question of, Is Velka Gwyn's sister-in-law? Because, I'll tell you exactly why I have that hunch. So we know that Velka has this super big influence to the gods, right? She's allowed as a witch to study the, like, because obviously, Anor Londo, even though they're all sunlight gods, they need someone to be their resident dark expert, so Velka fulfills that role perfectly, because then it's like, okay, Dark is doing some shit. Hey, Velka, it's kind of like you get someone who's an expert in, like, poisons and, like, herbology or shit like that, so they can tell you how you can cure the poison or whatever, right? Like, they can figure that shit out. So it's like, hey, they could poison someone, but they also means that they know how to cure the poison. Velka seems to serve that role. She's allowed to basically do all this heresy shit because that allows her to have tons of knowledge which could be useful to them, right? Sort of like how the Grand Archive serves that role for Lothric, right? It's like, hey, we understand that what you're doing could be very heretical, but, it's kind of very important we have knowledge, so we'll trust you with this, but we're gonna, like, put a bunch of safeguards in place, right? Velka seems to be someone who didn't really have those safeguards, though, because she just was allowed to basically do whatever she wants. And that's sort of the question. Sure, you need someone to be your resident dark expert, but why Velka specifically? And my thought is, what if she's the sister of Gwyn's wife? Because we see Gwyn's wife in Anor Londo has a little baby there. She stands on the Anor Londo architecture very clearly with the crown and everything. She's clearly the queen. So that's Gwyn's wife and all that. Before she dies, and then Gwyn, for very untoward reasons, ends up having relations with Priscilla. That's a nasty. Again, I'm not gonna repeat it on live here. Just, like, you guys can go to read Abyssal Archive or watch my Dark Souls lore play when I get to it. But if Velka was the sister of Gwyn's queen, then that sort of explains it, because Gwyn is never gonna marry he's never gonna marry someone with a dark soul. It's just never gonna happen. His fear of the dark and of humans as byproduct, and what we see him do as a result of that, shows that he is never, ever, ever gonna have that close of a relationship with someone who's that into the dark. But if it's a sister-in-law, that's a degree separated that he can probably tolerate. And it also explains why Velka has so much influence, because it's like, oh god, like, Velka kind of started a huge scandal with my favorite son-in-law, embarrassed my daughter, but it's like, gosh, it's my beloved wife's sister, so maybe I can kind of go easy and, just give her a slap on the wrist, say, hey, you're the goddess of sin, you're in charge of this prison facility, and, like, helping us with logistics on crime and punishment and all that, and then we'll call it a day, right? We'll call it even. Anyway, and the reason why that got my hunch, because, that enough, it's like, okay, well, maybe, but, like, doing so. Dark Souls 3 gives us, two interesting little tidbits. Obviously, we know Velka has black hair. Filianor has black hair. Gwyn's firstborn has, the description tells us ashen hair, but if you actually look closely, there are streaks of black in there. So it seems when he was a younger man, he had black hair. So it's like, okay, Guinevere has brown hair, Gwendolyn has, like, white hair, duh, Priscilla, Seath, really, Seath lineage, right? Filianor and Firstborn have the hair color that's otherwise only been ever associated or and obviously made explicit with Velka. That is curious to me. I'm very suspicious of that. Now the problem, and the reason why I say it's a hunch, is that there's no way to confirm if the black hair comes from Gwyn's side of the family or his queen side of the family. Like I said, I would think, if my hunch is correct, it comes from the queen side of the family. The queen had black hair, and so did her sister Velka, right? And so it all kind of ties that some of the kids have black hair as a result, while Gwyn's family were the ones where the brown hair that Guinevere has come from. And like we said, Gwendolyn has no relation to the queen. It's only Gwyn and Priscilla, so he gets the white hair. So that's where I'm like, maybe. But unless we get a Dark Souls 4, I don't think we'll ever get any possible elaboration or hints more to that. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't know. I think it might be true, but there's no way I can prove it. When are you doing a Dark Souls lore play? I'm hoping sometime this week I'll get back to it, because we're about to hit the Seath area, and that's where I'm going to be talking about all this with Seath's family and stuff by the time we kill Seath, because that's going to be fun. Mind's blown in this stream. Yeah, cool. Very happy to have that. Let's see. Is there any other way I can do this without because, like I said, we did a shot, like, of this, like, here, with the everything else here, but I don't think we can do that. Not with how this is, set up. Okay, let's try this, chat. Is not black hair also associated with Izalith and her daughters? I think under the hoods, Quaylana has the hair. I can't remember if Gwaelana, the daughter of Chaos, before... the daughter of Chaos you encounter before the Bed of Chaos. I can't remember if she has a defined face, because originally she seems to have been a generic model. Like, there was going to be, like, multiple Daughters of Chaos models using that would fight like that. But it seems like they ultimately decided on one. Well, probably because one of them's dead and is a corpse before Ceaseless, and that's probably where the change in the narrative had. But anyway, point aside, I think she has black hair, right? But we're talking Anor Londo gods. We're not talking about Izalith. Because, okay, so if you guys have read my analysis, you know that when I talk about the gods, I generally talk about the race of the gods rather than the status of the gods, and I call that race the medials, right? Because it's between the size of the giants and pygmies, generally, they range between, so I say, okay, medials. Medial's an actual word, by the way, you can look it up. Anyway, so the idea is that, okay, so there's this race called the Medials, right? So who are the Medials? Okay, so Silver Knights. So, like, when we discuss things, it's like, okay, are the Silver Knights gods? Okay, well, the race of the gods, maybe. Or maybe they're human, or maybe they're... Or there's something else, like, that's where this, and, like, stuff like Priscilla, where, like, you know, Priscilla, she's half dragon, half the race of the god, half god, but, like, she's not a god herself, or considered that. Like, so that's why like, all that's kind of confusing thing, because godhood is a status. I created this term that you'll read in Abyssal Archive and stuff called the Medials, right? So for those that are new here, that's what I work with, and that's the language I use in my nomenclature for the analyses I do on my website and stuff. So the Medials, we have, seems to be Nito, the Witches of Izalith, and Gwyn and stuff. Now, Nito and the Witches of Izalith seem to have, like, gone off from the tribe, as it were. Like, they kind of seem to have gone off on their own before they found their Lord Souls and did their own thing, right? And then they kind of end up in alliance because Gwyn establishes his kingdom and stuff with his Lord Soul. Because Gwyn's like, hey, I want to rule over all my people. I don't want to just forget. I'm an ambitious asshole. So yeah, so like when we're talking about the different parts of the tribe, yeah, they're all one tribe, but they're obviously different kingdoms, right? Like, Nito's got he's the Grave Lord, you know, the Grave King. Izalith, of course, technically, you know, a lord, a king of her civilization that she eventually builds up after, you know, Bed of Chaos and all that. And then, finally, Gwyn has, of course, Anor Londo. And that seems to be what I'm focusing on mostly, because that's where we get Velka, Fina, Old Man McLoy, Floyd, Gwyn's wife, Gwyn's kids, and all that. Those are the medials of whom I focus on, and that's why I wouldn't even factor in, like, okay, maybe Izalith and her daughters have black hair too, but none of them really have a connection to Gwyn or would have any connection to any of this. So, yeah. Last question, promise. Oh, no problem, Aha. Again, you guys can ask as much questions as you want while I'm still going to be streaming. I may have to stop soon because we've been going on for a bit, but, like, this is the problem is that I really want to get this, I really want to get this done, so... Actually, let me double check. Do I have... Yeah, I have my Lingering Dragon Crest ring here, so... Let's see if I can... Okay, I think this is fair, right? Okay, let's try to see if I can get the shot I had last time from this angle. Oh my god, it actually works! Like, yeah, I think we gotta do this. I'll be honest, I think this is already 10 times better than what we were doing before. Yeah, something like this. So let's move the character slightly up. Let's see if we can take this to the limit. There we go. Don't care about that. There we go. Again, trying to get the shot where we have the shrine, but it's like not really. Yeah, okay, so something like this, but the character is just too close. So let's take 1, 2. I think this is fair, right? All right, this I think should work. That's one way to do it. That might be able to be our way. Honestly, I may be able to do that with getting the character out of the way. Period, like what we were doing before. That might be the play. Yeah, this is so much better, chat. Oh my god, look at that. You can at least see the foreground. And then I might be able to edit so the background's not so bad either, so I can like redo the brightness and color balance and stuff like that. So I might be able to make this all work. Yes. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, just do this. God, it's so simple. Again, now next the thing is to see this stuff here, but whoop, I think that's very easy. We just gotta move the camera. Like this. Alright, I know I went on like a lot of lore tirades today, but hope it it wasn't too much of a little diversion from our main program today. I'm not liking this. Ah, yeah. Yeah, now I like this much better. Again, I find it hilarious. We are in the room with Ariandel, who's looking for his flail, but from this point, we can actually hear the flail. Him just smacking himself with his flail while he's looking for it. What a conundrum, truly. The trials of man. Yeah, I think that's good. What do you think, chat? I think I'm, oh no. Oh no. I lost it! No! Enjoy the lore talk, actually. Well, thanks. I'm probably just being paranoid. Because I'm just not used to doing so much, like, lore discussion while focusing on this shit. I usually am like, hey, let's just focus on this. But, like, I don't know. Again, you guys have put me in a really good mood today. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the Elden Ring DLC. Maybe it's making me feel extra chipper today, but... Oh, no, I hate that. Why is that blocking? There we go. This is better. This is what we want. Yeah. Yeah. Mommy Velka. What did they do with your beautiful statue? Oh no. I know it's beautiful because it's Velka. Everything she does is beautiful. I'm actually kind of curious what these books were taken as stock photos from. Nah, I'm not gonna get... You guys can clearly see from the shot angles I took the books and stuff on there, so I'm not gonna do that again. That we don't need to do. Alright, let's move over here so we can get a shot of good ol' actual statue. Good night, bye. See you, Xavier. Some very good screenshots. I agree. I'm very happy with these. Very happy with how this... I can't wait to put these on the website when the Ariandel thesis is done. These took a lot longer than probably they should have for it, but you know what? I don't care. Again, we've had a really good chat tonight. Oh. I think this will work. Yeah. I think this will do. Yeah, get out of the way, Flame. There we go. Stupid saving Flame. Yeah, we already got the one from the other side, so we don't need that. But now we got the string of all those, plus the altar there in the back. I already got I know I have a shot of this floating somewhere, so we don't need that. That's all decided. Alright, so I think that's it. I don't think I need anything else from this area. So I guess the last area to think about would be Ring City. Where's my dark sign? Dark sign. Woohoo! Dark sign. Is it under key items or something? I thought it was under my tools. Am I blind? I am blind. Today was a good day. I'm glad to hear that, John. Today was a good day. I think the Elden Ring news has put a pep in everyone's step. Let us see. Alright, last thing we gotta look at. God, the brightness is so insufferable here. Dreg Heap. I actually do think there's something I can get from here, so... Ring City, I miss that place. I agree, I love Ring City. I love visiting the Pygmy's grave every time I go there. My one and only lord. Well, first, before we... Hello? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let's fix this. This brightness is giving me AIDS. Where are you? Wait. Wait. Wait a second. It doesn't load it. Where is it? Where's my earthen peak? It's funny, I can see the missing geometry where the model is supposed to be covering. Oh boy. Well, this is awkward. Alright, so I know what I need to do. Yeah, the news was such a shock that I woke when I woke up to it. That's for sure. I don't think anyone was expecting it today. Like, this was like the day. Like, no one was like, oh yeah, today's the day, guys. Like, no one was thinking like that yesterday. Like, tomorrow's gonna be when it all comes out. But no, okay, we got our teaser. Like I said, I was thinking March. Ended up coming literally the last day of February. I feel bamboozled. I feel cheated. I felt like I went to the casino, I made the bet, and then the handler told my bet to the other gamblers. Yeah, after the anniversary and everything, yeah. Like, I would have expected to be on the anniversary day, so again, very impressed that they showed restraint. This section of Earth and Peak and Dreadkeep is better than the actual area in Dark Souls 2. Yeah, I would agree. Param, no. Let's just do the camera, and then, no, what I want to do is, right, I almost forgot, hero, where is it? Is it, I could have swore it was under hero. No, it's under stats. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's team type. Now, we're going to go for 6, right? Yeah, 6 for enemy. That should make this okay. Just in case. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Team type. Okay. Close you, and then go to free cam. Oh, thank God. Thank God we didn't die. How you doing there, buddy? Don't make me kill you. God, this is a real hard one. I'm trying to get a shot of the full thing, but... yeah, because it goes all the way there to there. Okay, it's official. I need to kill the stupid angel. Let's get out of this and... let's loot this corpse. Yeah, Ring of Steel Protection +3. Woo! Just in case. I'm gonna try to not trigger the stupid tower thing falling, so let's try to free cam this. Look at that look at that high quality ash texture, chat. All the blurry pixels. Because I think this gets around that. So I think what we want to do is this. Yep. That does it. So this building stays intact for me, because this tower is not falling. Right? So that should be safe. Ooh! That reminds me. I should check this. Let's take a screenshot of this, because I want to check this in comparison to High Wall of Lothric, because there's a very specific thing I want to try. Yeah, so this building, we don't care. It looks like it's oriented a little off because of the Dreadkeep and all that, right? This is the plaza that I care about. I'm not sure if I recognize that building. This building is definitely... this building's perhaps the most curious, because this is clearly supposed to be Lothric City, right? It's not supposed to be Lothric Castle. So it's very interesting that they included a building that would house a knight. I guess the idea would be that this would be a super special, like, a super special heroic knight, so they literally built an entire church or something about him, right? And it happens to be next to a plaza that's, of course, also representing the knights. They still got to use the profane capital copy-paste guys here, though. Same with Lothric's thing, even though it makes no sense in this context. But I understand. What can they do? They got to reuse what assets they can. They don't got time to remove every little detail. Anyway, let's change my character back to an enemy. Man, I love the designs of these angels. Yeah, it's really cool. Like, kind of like angelic silhouette, but insectoid details and stuff. Really cool. remove the free cam. And we want to go back to stats and change my character back to hollow. So 4. Alright, I got all the shots I ever could have want for you in the past, so... Thank you. I'm gonna put you here, Mr. Loki. Mr. Loki! And we're now gonna go back to free cam. So now, there's not gonna be anything that could possibly get in the way of my shot. Hopefully. Right, so... My shot of the Earthen Peak. We want to do here, right? Because this is the best way to... Yeah, like this works better, I think, yeah. Because I remember taking the shot of this before, and it was a pain, and I'm not sure if I was completely happy with it. So now I'm trying to say, hey, I have free cam now. Let's see if I can do better. And to be honest, I don't think I'm doing too bad. Let's do a few more shots like this. Kind of let us have an idea. I want a lot of negative space because in case I want to edit other stuff. So like on this left side here, I might put a lot of different like comparisons to like actual pieces of Dark Souls 2 Earthen Peak. Again, I do find it hilarious that they turned this into wood after all the backlash about you literally lighting metal on fire to burn the windmills. It's like, okay, fine, we'll redesign it with wood. We're actual retcon. Very funny. Still moving over here. Yeah, there you go. Got the little bits flying and moving about in the background there. It's all going down, 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 down in the direction to go around the Ring City. I'll never forget how it's like, just copy paste all the Lothric stuff. Oh, but it also we're also got the Kiln of the First Flame in there. Nobody cares. It's fine. Just no one's gonna notice. But what happens if they're like at the super edge and they can look down? Just take I don't know, Undead Settlement assets and just you copy paste them a lot there too, right? And then we'll have like little towns and castles and stuff, so everyone will understand it's a bunch of different kingdoms from different ages or whatever. Look, another kiln. Another Firelink Shrine, another Firelink Shrine, another Firelink Shrine. You get a Firelink Shrine, you get a Firelink Shrine. God, don't you love developers? Gotta copy-paste as much as you can. I wonder how the Dark Souls 2 fans explain the absence of the Iron Keep elevator in Dreg Heap, lol. Listen, the less we think about that that Earthen Peak elevator, the better. That's that one thing that any critic of Dark Souls 2 will cite, myself included. And like Dark Souls 2 fans have like they have no excuse. Like even they have to concede that yeah, that's a pretty fucking glaring problem. That maybe they don't think it's the biggest thing, maybe or whatever, but like it's something where it's like, yeah, you kind of just have to accept it that yeah, that's an L. You gotta take the L where you get it. Okay, so I think that's done. We got the tree. I can't take a shot at the tree. There we go. I can't take a shot at the tree because there's not enough map. I don't know if you're an arch tree or whatever, but like you are pissing me off. Watch this be the holy tree of the Millwood Knights or some shit. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I bet you there's like a corpse with like a blessed gem or whatever. That's supposed to hint that, oh yeah, this is the Millwood tree. Gosh, now I've like just thrown out that crack theory casually. Now my head is gonna be thinking about if it's actually true. Damn, stupid Loki. Try less hard, please, for your own sake. I guess this. No, because that's... There's no winning with you, tree. You're too big. You take up too much of this tiny-ass map. Oh, wait a second. I just realized, yeah, this is supposed to be part of Lothric, too. And this building certainly doesn't exist in the city. This is all bullshit. This is all the developers hoping that we don't notice. Yeah, what is this crap? Yeah, nothing there. Okay, so there's like, there's Shira's dagger or whatever, right? The aquamarine dagger, and then, yeah, that's doing so. It's just funny looking at it from this angle. And being like, yep, yeah, there's totally one of these towers that kind of just stood out on its own on the walls. Like, oh my god. Again, it's one of those moments where you just gotta kind of, like, suspend your disbelief. The developers are trying to create interesting levels while getting across an idea. Even if when you start thinking about it, the specifics don't quite make sense. I do love the Millwood Knights lore, one of the best there is. Yeah, they're a solid little side story, right? Like, I do like all the little stories that Dark Souls games can come up with that fit inside their world, right? Because again, I like these games for their world building and stuff. Like I said, I know Miyazaki. He's super big on the whole question about the Age of Fire versus Age of Dark or whatever, right? I think most fans in Dark Souls would have that quite close to the bottom of their list of what they like about this series. I think most people would say that's probably various areas of the lore, characters, interesting side stories, just the general world building, I think, is what people really appreciate. I don't think it's any of the specifics to the plot, because the plot is pretty basic. When it all comes down to it, it's very, very much basic. It's like the Dark Souls 1 especially, it's like your typical hero story with the twist, where it's like, the good ending is actually the bad one. Because you've been tricked, you've been manipulated, And then Dark Souls 3 is just like, we're hammering home the point because you didn't get it the first time. And Dark Souls 2 is just, we're spinning our wheels because we don't know what to do. We were just told we had to make a sequel because we made so much money with the first one unexpectedly. Anyway, guys, yeah, I think that's everything here. I can't think of anything for Ring City. I'm not going to be touching Ring City anytime soon, so I'm just going to accept that what we got now is enough. So let's just look at High Wall of Lothric, like I said, and then we're going to end things here. It's been great chatting with you all. Happy to work with you all, gentlemen. It's been an honor to serve. Where's that stupid dark sign? I find it so funny I'm using the dark sign like it's my frickin' what's it called? That bonfire sword, coiled sword or whatever. Yeah. I think Vort's good. Yeah, it was fun. And like I said, in a few weeks, I think we're going to get a trailer. I think like 2 weeks from now, we'll have a trailer for sure. I don't know if it's going to be like a week from now, a few days from now, again, exactly 2 weeks from now, maybe a little more than 2 weeks, but I think it's coming. I think it's undeniable at this point. It's coming. And again, I guess I better do my grift. Please like and subscribe. Helps the channel, blah, blah, blah. Please buy my book. Got a grift there. Very important. Again, you guys supporting me helps make future books. I know like so many people are like, hey, do one on Bloodborne, do one on Dark Souls 2, do one on Dark Souls 3, do one on Demon Souls. Like, again, I would love to. I'm so glad Abyssal Archive has been so successful with sales. But again, it's you guys. You guys buy the books. And that's the incentive for me being like, hey, all these years, all these hours I put into trying to compile a complete, consistent, and comprehensible account of Dark Souls lore. with all the information, all the stuff on the Japanese and things, all the stuff on the environment and the characters and the psychology of all that, like applying that all into a nice research book. Which again, I'm a fiction writer. I'm not really much into nonfiction, so it's really cool. Oh my, oh, I do have this right. This is my other account. What is this? Oh no, never mind. That's actually correct. Those are actually walls. Okay, I was about to say if that's like missing textures, like what is this? It's right in my face. I know I've never noticed it till now, but still. But anyway, nope. It looks like it's right. Cause you got the barracks here, right? These are the barracks that the soldiers and everything are stationed in. But then you got like a mirror image of it for the other side of the town. Now, unfortunately, there should be, like, as we can see the gateway here, right? Like, this feels like there should be a gateway here, right? Like, this feels like this should be, like, a gateway, and you can explore more of Lothric City, but you can't, of course, because, again, tutorial level. But you can clearly see something like this. Again, a cool thing the remake could do is they could take the stuff we just saw, they could take the stuff we saw in the Dreg Heap, like that other plaza. So like you have a plaza like this with Prince Lothric, but then you have you see the idea of a mirror one here with like the same architecture and stuff. See? But it's just mirrored. So you can do that and take what we saw in the Dreg Heap and apply it here, and then you have the plaza thing still here. It might even be cool because you can have like the pus of men that you see dendrified in the Dreg Heap. You can have like two enemies who have the pus here or something like that and make this like a special gate or whatever. I don't know, I'm just saying. If not that, then maybe someone can mod it. Like maybe we can have like Dark Souls 3 mod that like makes like, I don't know, I don't know, like it ports Dark Souls 3 to Elden Ring and makes it open world, and you have like a spectral steed like Tauren or whatever, right? Like, and just make the entire Dark Souls 3 map open world game for you to explore. And then you could do something like that where you take pieces of the Dreg Heap and you can replace this generic low qual poly stuff with what we see there. You can't really get around the Grand Archives portion of Dreg Heap. Like that stuff is like, you can't really do anything with that. Like it's just it doesn't work. But like this stuff for the city, I think you fit in. And maybe you can make this building, that super tall building we saw earlier. Yeah, like nothing's really being done here or whatever, right? So like you could do more. That's all I'm saying, right? Because we explore this part of the city, and honestly, it's not even like this part of the stuff here, right? It's like there's tons of stuff over here that basically gets ignored. But like you can at least make like this part something you can get to. Dark Souls 3 remake should be made by From themselves, I think. It's never going to happen then. From just do not have the capabilities to make high quality, high graphical fidelity remakes. Like, I love Elden Ring. Is it more graphically ambitious than Dark Souls 3? Yes, it has better graphics than Dark Souls 3. Is it like to the standards of like modern console quality? Hell no. Not even close. Again, there's a reason why everyone's wowed by Blue Point's Demon Souls remake on a visual front, because there's no denying it. That game is next gen. The problem with the remake is its art style is crap. I think the mod and RT direction is just very hard for any other studio to nail in the remake. I don't think so. I don't think it's hard. You just need to use the original concept art. Like, Demon Souls Remake's problem is they decided that they were going to go in a different art style direction with all the stuff, when all they need to do was consult the original artwork and just be like, okay, make that, but higher quality. Maybe add more details that you couldn't think of adding before or something, or the artwork doesn't quite capture or whatever for, like, really tiny stuff. But you could have just used the original art. Like, you could have even assuming that Blue Point couldn't ask for the original concept art, I'm sure there's somewhere on eBay the Demon Souls I don't know, like collector's edition art book or whatever. I'm sure that's floating around online somewhere for people to buy. You can afford to pay like, I don't know, like the $200 or whatever it costs on eBay in order to get that art book and then use it for your project. There is no reason that they had to literally redesign so many enemies from the ground up. And of course make them look like generic Hollywood B-movie schlock. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. We're going to end it there on that happy note. So, until next time, guys, I am so happy to be able to have had a nice long chat with you and be able to do a lot of stuff with both screenshots and, of course, talk about lore and talk about Elden Ring and all that stuff. Like, today just felt very fulfilling. So, I don't know. Makes me really excited for tomorrow. So, until next time, bye-bye.